But good evening, or good morning, or whenever the fuck you're listening to this. Welcome to episode 4. I have a good friend joining me today, another paramedic, lo and behold. Hopefully going to get another, what do you call it? Emergency service or something like that on at some point soon, but paramedics seem to be in vogue at the minute.
No water ferries yet. Yes.
No water ferries, no police officers. They probably don't want to get in trouble or something like that, I don't know. This man has a wide and varied career, both in the ambulance service and beforehand, in the military, and has always been a source of a comedic value to me within my service anyway.
Laughing with me or at me?
I'm not sure. Probably a bit of both. And he's the only man that I know to survive a fight with a concrete truck. Debatable.
It was a draw.
A draw, yeah. I'd call draw. So welcome to the show, Mo Morrison.
Thank you for having me.
It's all right. No, it's good to see you.
Good to be seen.
Good to... So first of all, congratulations on 500 days.
504, I think.
Days of sobriety. So
0.0. Just
yeah. So I am not. I better cover that up. YouTube will like fucking ban me because it's like, you're trying to advertise something.
Product placement.
Yeah. Better just get rid of that screen because it's very distracting when you're trying to watch it on the telly. So you started your career in the British Army, I believe.
A young 18-year-old.
18.
Yeah.
Let's start with that.
I mean, this was back in '93. Most of the people I work with now aren't even alive then.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I joined the Gordon Highlanders, which weirdly enough, you know Will Young.
Yes.
Yeah, he was in Berlin with me back in '93, '94.
Right.
I had no idea that he was there, and he suddenly turned up 20 odd years later in Staverton.
Yeah. Hello.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
So
did you meet him while you were there?
No. He's about 10 years older than me.
Okay.
And yeah, we were in a different company, so I didn't really know him that well at all.
But the same regiment.
Yeah, we definitely know people that know people.
Okay, right.
That makes sense. Yeah,
rather incestuous.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, so I went there and just as a private soldier.
Okay.
And that was what I did for about 4 or 5 years, and then one of the officers saw me doing joined up writing and hard sums and said, right, you have to get to Sandhurst. And initially I didn't want to go. I wanted to get out of the army and weirdly go into the Scottish ambulance service.
Oh, okay.
I forgot all about that once I got out eventually. But,
So that was a career path from the start. So do the army and then ambulance service, or
well, my idea was to just do a few years of the army, see a bit of the world, and then maybe go to uni and then see where that takes me. And,
yeah.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it, I just ended up in this.
Another 5 years.
Yeah,
another 5 years.
And
another
it
5
just
years.
Carried on. But I remember going into the boss's office and saying, "I've had enough of this. After 4.5 years, I want to leave."
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh fuck, what can we do to get Mo to stay?" And he was chatting away to one of the other officers who in the mess, and he said, "Oh, he's a bright lad. He's got some qualifications. So we can do Sandhurst." And when he presented it to me, I said, "Well, no offense, boss, but most officers are a bunch of dicks." And be with them. And he was like, "Yeah, the people you think are dicks, we think they're dicks as well. So." Give it a go, and he was trying everything. He was saying also
bribery.
He said it's it's an amazing experience. You're leading men. It's more responsibility, and you could see it wasn't working with me.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're going to get about $7,000 pay rise if you do this. I was like, right. Yeah.
Keep talking.
The Scottish in me was like, money, right?
Give us a quid.
Yeah, and he said. And you've been helped out in the officers' mess during the Christmas parties that we have. I was like, yeah, I've done that. So, have you ever seen any of the officers, the young officers, with an ugly bird? Now you mention it. No, I haven't. I said, why do you think that is? So, is it because they're officers? He went, yeah, you've got this lovely big officers' mess, and they think we're landed gentry and we're rolling in cash. And it's like, you're saying that if I go for Sanders, I'm going to get paid more, and I'm going to get to shag posh birds. Why didn't you start with that? Sign me up! And that's genuinely why I went for Sanders. So I went there. It was 11 months training. Ended up in the Royal Artillery, the gunners, long-range snipers or drop shorts, depending how you want to refer to them. And I just bounced around the world with them. I was going everywhere.
Right.
Fantastic. 2 years New Zealand.
I was about to say, you ended up... So you had your commission and then you ended up like having your own thing in New Zealand?
Yeah, so I...
Or was it like a secondment of kinds?
Yeah, I initially went to Germany for 3 years.
Okay.
Osnabrück, or Osnabrück as we called it. And then,
that's where the tankies and stuff like that are, aren't they?
It's a whole garrison
right
there.
Yeah.
And then they said, look, I've done my 3 years here. I'd like to go back to the UK if I could, because we were known as the warrior monks because you just never old. German girls were like, you can't even speak the language.
Piss off.
And they took that on board and then sent me to another regiment in Germany. And then I got sent off to Iraq. Yeah, so that was 2003.
So not the first Gulf War.
Not the first Gulf War, the second.
Yeah, the second one. Yeah.
The return of the empire. And it was your full on war.
Invasion. Yeah.
Battles, firefights, the whole works.
So you were there from day one.
Yeah.
Right.
So all very exciting stuff.
Did you plan and prepare in Germany, and then it was like an overnight thing, or was it?
No,
obviously
we did a lot of planning and prep and training, because the politicians were hedging their bets of whether they were going to go out there or not.
Yeah.
But we thought let's start preparing now, and they sent us to Hohner in Germany to train, and it was like minus 15 degrees out there, freezing. I was in 2 sleeping bags at one day, still shivering, and this was our desert warfare training.
Of course, yeah.
Typical.
No temperature whatsoever.
Yeah. So I had a few bullets whiz my way, and the 2-way range as we called it. And, and when I got back, they thought, well, we best get him out of the country.
Before he does something.
Yeah, and this secondment in New Zealand came up.
Okay.
So I got sent out there.
Were the Kiwis in Iraq as well?
No. Well, I don't.
The Aussies were.
They were in Afghan. They weren't in that initial invasion, I don't think. It's quite a small defence force, so they usually send them off to peacekeeping jobs in the UN and stuff.
Right. So it's not your typical army.
But 2 years out there, it's fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Beautiful country, great people. Good beer.
Yeah.
And on my return...
Heads up Waikato.
Yeah.
Waikato?
Yeah. Where did I go after that? Not back to Germany, thankfully. UK stuff.
Okay.
So I did a few tours. My last posting was actually in Exeter with the Officer Training Corps.
Okay.
As the training major.
Right.
Which
I was about to say, what was the rank that you ended up in? Yeah,
I ended up major, which you basically you can get to as long as you don't fiddle the books with money or fiddle with anyone's wife. You'll get there eventually. We didn't get caught at either, so I
didn't get caught.
I popped out the other end. It was a natural end point for me because I kind of done all the fun jobs. It was just desk jobs left over, and I thought, let's see what else is out there. So I left, and most of the military guys you talk to, they'll tell you they struggle for the first 6 months to a year of coming out. It's a very different. It's a bit like coming out of prison without the stigma.
Yeah,
you're so institutionalized about how things work.
You have such a deeply set routine that this is when you wake up. This is when chow is.
Yeah.
This is where you go to get your laundry done. This is where
what you're wearing that day.
Yeah. There's no, oh shit, what t-shirt do I wear today? It's like, no, you just wear your fatigues. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I really struggled with that. And I ended up, well, my relationship broke down with the girl I was seeing at the time, and I.
So you started seeing her like in the military.
For several years, and it just fell apart. We were in very different paths, and I remember having left her place. I'd hired a white van. I'd all my worldly possessions in the back of a van, driving down the motorway. Going, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, you just fucking.
I'm just driving.
Yeah.
So I called up another army veteran, an old friend of mine called Joe, and he was like, "All right, come around." I hadn't seen this guy for about 5 years.
Right. Okay.
And he was like, "Yeah, come on round." So
Sofa's there, pal.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
He was like, "There's a spare room there. You can put all your stuff in the garage. Let's go and have a beer." And I talked
because he'd already been through this like.
Oh yeah, I mean, he'd been
transition periods, and he's like, "Oh."
He had a couple of failed marriages behind him. He'd been through the ringer, and he was like, "Yeah, I bet at this point you were thinking this." Like, how did you know?
Because I've fucking been there.
Yeah.
It's funny watching in previous podcasts we've talked about like the advent of social media, and you're able to see like military, police, fire, ambulance from other countries, and the similarities are uncanny. And then the going joke in America is like, you become a private and then you marry a stripper. Yes. And then you finance a Dodge Charger and you're like, yeah, woo, gonna get married. And then it's like, oh, and then they get to like staff sergeant or they get to whatever. And they're like, how many times have you been married? 4.
Yeah, it's like bullshit. And funnily enough, that's the one thing I really miss about the armies is the guys that you commanded.
Yeah.
And some of the shit they got up to though.
Yes, boss.
And you'd say like, what were you thinking? And you had this blank look back. you weren't thinking at all, were you?
Yeah.
Not really, boss. No.
So this is you at like commissioned.
Yeah.
And then you've got privates, lieutenants coming in going, boss, or they've come back and gone, someone's been fucking arrested or something like that.
Or somebody hasn't turned up. And we had one guy who didn't turn up for... he wasn't AWOL, he was just...
pissed.
Hadn't turned up. And eventually he did. And I was like, right, Hookie, what's been going on? And he's like, oh, well, I ended up with this bird at the local German bird at the nightclub, and I pulled her and she got me back and she basically handcuffed me to the bed and she's been using me as a sex slave for the day and feeding me toast. And I was like, really? Yeah. And he was like really pretty traumatized. It's like,
yeah, it wasn't an enjoyable sex experience.
Well, I said, it was like, can you not have tried to escape? He was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. I'll just have to explain it to the lads later. Like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah, you never get these experiences again. So, yeah. But we had another 2 guys.
If you end up watching this video and you want to get in touch with Mo again, DM me and I'll get you in touch with them.
Well, these 2 guys, they ended up... we were training another unit to go to Kosovo or Bosnia.
Okay.
And we were told... 2-can rule, so 2 cans of beer you're allowed. You can find a camp, so you're not going downtown or anything
Yeah.
So these 2 lads, it was a guy called Scouse and one guy we called Beta.
I wonder where he's from.
Yeah. And a guy called Beta Z, because his name was just one of those Polish types that it was like, we'll just call him Beta Z. So they both got a bottle of vodka each and smashed that and sauntered downtown.
Yeah, so it wasn't 2 cans of beer, it was 2 bottles of vodka.
Off they went. And yeah, they went downtown, they went to the local brothel and tried to get in. And the madame looked at them and was like, 9.
Yeah. Fuck off.
So any normal bloke would just go have a kebab, vomit it somewhere and go and sleep it off. No, they went back to the camp and stole a minibus and ram-raided the brothel. I'm not sure what was going through their minds at that time of, like, we'll just grab a couple and
the blood was definitely not in their brain, Mo.
No. But the German police came around the corner and saw this, and they went, "Whoa!" and started to drive down the Strasse, banging into cars on the way down. Thankfully, nobody was injured.
Yeah.
They eventually hit this car and stalled the thing. Scouse was so drunk and he couldn't get his seatbelt off, so he just went for a little nap. He went for a sleep.
Fuck it, I'm busted now. Like,
beat his head, managed to get the door open, staggered out, and coppers don't know what's going on. They've got the pistols out, thinking this is some terrorist event or something. And if anyone points pistols at you, and I've had it done to myself, you shit yourself. You put your hands up. Not beat his head. He runs into them. I'm fucking have yous, and starts swinging. At which point they go, oh, he's a squaddy, and they just pull their truncheons out and battered him senseless. Called us up and went, we've got 2-year lads you need to pick up. So
put them in the fucking brig.
So we dragged them off, threw them on the bed, and in the morning, one of the lads went up to...
Oh, they're squaddies! Yeah. Oh, poof!
Yeah, but one of the lads beat his head up in the morning and went, I can't believe what you've done. Not only you get pissed up, you left the camp, you basically stolen a minibus, you ram-raided a brothel, you've resisted arrest, you've been driving drunk, you've been causing willful damage. He's like, I don't remember any of this. Did I really? He went, nah, mate, I'm only joking. He went back to sleep. He was woken up by the sergeant major, grabbing him by the ankle and dragging him out. You little bastard!
Like, oh, bother. Yeah. I'm in trouble now.
So that's the kind of stuff they got up to, and it was that was not unusual.
That was like commonplace, yeah.
But anyway, back to Joe.
Yeah, okay.
So he was actually going to go and do the paramedic course.
Okay.
But it was when it was a 2-year...
diploma,
degree.
Yeah.
And it had only just changed to the 3 years, and because he had more responsibilities than I did, because he had kids and stuff,
he was like,
I can't afford to do it. He said, but why don't you do it? Said, the army will pay for the tuition. And I was
about to say, your like leaving money, I know a lot of guys like they because you've been in so long.
There are 2 separate funds, so you can get as you're about to leave, you get $2,000 a year to do courses of various things. But they've got this other little one they keep quiet about.
Stum. Yeah. Anyone listening?
Yes. If you haven't got a degree when you leave, they will fund you in any degree you wish.
You choose.
You have to put your application in, but they'll pay the tuition fee. So that was, at the time, $27,000 I didn't need to find.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
So, and as Joe said, he went, even if you hate the job, nobody's been harmed by having a degree. You can go and do any other job if you want. But and I thought, well, it gives me 3 years of not having to think about what I need to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And at the point, I hadn't a clue really what I was going to do, but it sounded something that I might be into because there are quite a few transferable skills from the army and the military as a whole, and the ambulance service. It's a lot of thinking your feet. Every day is different. It's like going out on a fighting patrol every day. There is some...
Just no guns.
There's a little bit of discipline going on, not quite as much. And you've got that camaraderie.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are part of a unit in your recognised occupation that people have a rough idea of what you do.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things I struggled when I left the army was I lost my identity.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know who I am anymore.
You've had this like fucking ripped out the back of you,
I'm not Major Morrison anymore. I'm just Mister.
Yeah.
And it broke me. And that was the one thing I was not expecting. So it was nice to put a handle on something going, I am a paramedic.
Yeah. You've got a title, you've got a routine to get up to, you've got a rota, you put a uniform back on. I think that's a lot of lots of the military guys that are in that I speak to. It's about that, putting something back on. It's not just slobbing around in your sweats all day or putting a suit on and going to an office and stuff like that. And
one of the best things, I don't have to wear a tie.
yeah. I mean, I spoke
puts a noose around their neck every day. That's just
yeah. I mean, in my job now, I spoke to this guy that was on a rig, and he was a Royal Marine, but he was an officer, and they only do when they do their officer training, they only do like a set amount of time or something like that, and then they're out the other end.
Oh, as in
what's that? Sorry.
What, as in the commando course or the actual officer?
No. So they do their officer training, and then they only do like a set period of time or something like that.
I mean, everyone gets a contract that they
right.
do.
Okay. So.
And then you can apply if you're good enough to
continue.
Right.
He ended up leaving at the end of his contract, I assume. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not military. I don't understand the ins and outs of it. Whether he was good or not, obviously, again, I don't know. But he would.
Most of the officers from the Royal Marines are pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
I've not met a bad one.
Yeah. Okay.
There's some awesome.
He was a lovely bloke, but he just said that he was out on a rig and he was doing production or something like that, and he just goes, I'd rather be back with the lads, you know, and he just hadn't really found himself.
Yeah.
And he was just bouncing around job to job to job to job, and he's just like, oh, yeah. But at least, you know, not pretty quickly, but at least you found something.
Yeah, well, it was within the year that I was like, actually, I could probably do this.
And then you were at UE, weren't you?
Yeah.
And you're Johnny student?
Johnny
Silver Fox.
Yes. Excellent bloke.
Yeah.
He was the first... this might not sound as much of a compliment as it really is, but he was the first civilian I ever trusted.
Oh, right, okay. Right.
Because I was very worried about...
Yeah.
Right, because you're all different.
Yeah.
So
there's no standardization to anyone.
Yeah. But he was an excellent clinician.
Yeah.
We got on really well. He was a brilliant teacher.
Yeah.
And all of his students after me will agree with this, that he was just
a spot on.
He's just a paramedic on that one.
Salt of the earth.
Consummate professional. The only times he wasn't, it was when somebody farted. He couldn't contain himself. That was just...
What, as in laughter?
Yeah, he was just... and there were jobs you'd go to, you know, this old lady, you're trying to help her off the floor and she just lets a ripper go, and you could see him like welling up. Like, in fact, we went to one guy, an old boy, he was in bed.
Right. Because Johnny was on a car team, wasn't he?
Yeah, so we did both.
Yeah, right, okay, yeah, so you split rota. Okay, yeah. Right.
And we went into one old boy, and he had the covers pulled up here, and it was one of those jobs where you go to where the whole family's there. You know, you've got the grandkids, the sons and daughters, and the wife's there, and next door neighbour, and in the same room.
Cousins, like...
Okay, so we introduced ourselves and said, how can we help today? And the wife's like, well, I'll show you, and grabs the covers and just whips them back off this old boy. He's lying there stark bollock naked. And the little kids are walking, and he's just there. And he looks me dead in the eye.
Oh, the old boy did?
Yeah. And he just went, and let this massive fart... and his
second gear, fucking...
his scrotum rippled. It was... And I lost it at that point. I was like, I've got to step out for a bit. Johnny was like wiping his eyes, and I was like, oh god. I'm not even sure what was wrong with the old boy, but he probably felt better no matter what it was. But...
Yeah, he had abdo pain. He then no longer had abdo pain.
But we did some fantastic jobs. I was very lucky, and I felt sorry for the students that came after me that ended up in the COVID times.
Okay.
And even the ones now that they're just not going to the volume of jobs.
Yeah, they're not going to 6, 7, 8 calls a day. Yeah,
and I was quite lucky that the faculty at UE didn't really... You had to do a minimum amount of hours. They didn't care if you went
extra. Yeah,
you didn't. You didn't get your set block, and that was it. It was like, if you had a day off at uni, I would call them up. You got a shift going.
You at work, mate. Yeah.
And I do it, and I got loads of hours in.
Yeah.
Loads of jobs, and
just keep yourself busy.
I think the only thing we didn't go to was a childbirth. We missed one by about 5 minutes.
Yeah, you walked in and the baby's out like.
Yeah. But everything else we went to, so we'd loads of cardiac arrests, RTCs, your STEMIs, a few fatals, DOAs, suicide, the works.
Yeah.
So I got
here, there, and everywhere.
Very, very good grounding from
I was about to say that. I mean, you know, I know Johnny personally, like, and you know, I've known you for what 7, 8 years or something like that now, and you know, Johnny's a very calm and collected sort of gentleman, and like.
You know, he's really annoyed with someone when he becomes excessively polite.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Just like, hello, thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. 3 baseballs, sir. It's like, oh bother. Like, he is pissed. But, like, I always find that any student that's been with Johnny has ended up a well-rounded sort of para, at that, you know, and thankfully, you know, you came out at the other end of that as well.
Yeah. Against all odds.
Yeah. Yes. I just remember you being a student one day, and then the next day, I was like, oh, those epaulets have changed.
Yep.
Oh, congratulations! Let's go cause some fuckery.
It is funny when that first shifted you as a paramedic, and you just get... I remember getting into the back of the ambulance on my own, and it was Mark was my preceptor.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he was driving, and I turned to this patient and I was like, please don't die. He's like, what?
Why the fuck would I die?
But my preceptorship was an absolute nightmare. It was
really?
It's good, but
Or was it just the usual
jobs we're getting? It was like
shit. Yeah, you're a shit magnet. Yeah.
Oh, it was horrific. There was people being stabbed and falling off of buildings. Poor Mark didn't want to come in because he's the most laid back guy going.
Yeah, he's chill.
And he was like, you and your fucking beard, you're just causing problems.
Speaking of the beard, I remember when COVID happened and we all had to shave, and then I seen you clean shaven, and I was like,
well, people were introducing themselves to me. Like,
yeah. I remember being stood in Gloucester Royal, the way it used to be, you know, the triage was, and all the nurses were like, "Who's that?" Like towards me and you, and they were like, "Oh, well, that's Mo." And fucking hell, that's Kyle. like, oh, he's got a big fat neck behind that beard. Yeah. This ain't getting shaved. Like,
the double chin.
The double chin. I need to lose some fucking weight.
COVID was a weird time though. That was,
very strange.
Yeah. Because the call volume went down, but the jobs and the seriousness of the jobs massively increased.
We actually went. Oh, I say we actually, but yeah, we went to a lot of like really like poorly people. Yeah. And I think I enjoyed that like a lot more. I know that there's a really sick sense of enjoying something, but yeah.
Well, it's that old adage of you don't want people to get hurt, but you want to be there.
And do things,
and do your actual job that you've been trained for.
Yeah. So this podcast, I started, as I've said, like, you know, to get the stories out of people, I guess. So just to sort of rewind it, I guess, like back to. Well, I guess basic training. Like, what kind of fuckery went on there? Because I can imagine a bunch of 18-year-old testosterone-fueled soldiers with access to munitions, flashbangs, and all sorts of other stuff. Is there anything that you like really like pips in your brain that you're like, fucking hell? Like,
weirdly enough, it wasn't during the training because you were so busy and you were so knackered. You didn't have time to cause problems.
Okay.
The trouble came was when you ended up in the mess as young officers.
And you went to your unit sort of thing?
Yeah, and you were a bit naughty. Because to give you an idea, when I wasn't involved in this, I can just pretend it was somebody else.
Plausible deniability.
Absolutely.
And what did Searchy say? The statute of limitations. Like,
fairly sure
it was over 10 years ago.
But there was a guy we used to be able to get it's all tightened up now, but we used to be able to get these, they were like flashbangs, so it was practice grenades, and it was basically like a firework with a very loud bang, and you get them in, whenever you were doing your blank firing training, you could throw that and it would explode. You go, that's a grenade.
Okay.
Bang bang, you're dead. You can't turn a tank. Yeah, all that shit. So the lads had managed to get a hold of a few of these, and of course they'd been drinking. And one of the lads got far too pissed up, and he went to his bed. So they thought, let's wake him up. So they set light to one of these. And it's like, and they opened his door of his room.
Oh, did you have to light it?
Yeah, well, it was a kind of
a striker
thing.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Threw it in his room, closed the door, and it went whoa. And they kind of looked in, and this guy's still asleep. And they're like, right, let's get a couple. We'll strap it together. Right.
Yeah.
Throw
3.
It in. Another. Boom. And he's still asleep. And then they noticed.
How pissed was he?
Oh, he was rat-arsed. But then he got this new fridge in his room. And they went, what would happen to a fridge if you put a flashback? Let's get, how many we got? Got 3 left. Let's strap it together. And threw it into his fridge, closed the door, and they all ran out like giggling. And they were waiting, and it was like, car fucking boom! And they were like, whoa! Windows are shattering.
Blew the fucking. He's always supposed to blow the bloody nose off.
Open the door. This guy is still sparkle, but there's like polystyrene and shit all over the place. His. The fridge looks like one of those exploding cigars. It's just opened up.
Oh, just the top of it, yeah, it's just gone.
They're like, so they go. And they drag this thing out, and they get an old battered fridge from somewhere else and just put it back in its place. And in the morning, because they go in, and the guys manage to wake up, and they're like, right, Dave.
Of course his name's Dave.
Notice anything different about your room? And he looks around and it's just carnage, just glass and like polystyrene.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's a bit breezy in here.
That's not my fridge. No, this is mine. Yeah, but there are some shenanigans some of the guys do. There was actually one. It was in the paper, so I can talk about this.
Oh right. It was like John. Like John was really scared, and he was like, "It's all right." The coroner wrote a fucking book about this one. Like.
Well, in this one, I mean, it wasn't my regiment. I wasn't in this one, but it was two of the officers had a bit of a falling out, so they got into the mess pond in canoes and were firing flares at each other as a duel, and one went hoofing off into a building and set it ablaze, and the whole thing burned down, cost hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of damage. And I read about it, I was crying a laugh.
When they just sat in their canoes like, we fucked up, boys.
We didn't think this through. Oh, yeah. But we used to do all sorts of crap like that. It was fantastic.
So good memories then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could
change
do
it.
10 podcasts on the stories.
Yeah. Well, I see you've got a lot of stuff written down.
So.
Oh
yeah. Then that has nothing to do with the army. That's.
Oh right. Oh, the ambulance service.
Yeah.
Are you beard up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you beard up. Nice. Yeah. I had a complaint from John saying that he got a bit parched on his episode, and he was like, "Oh, I didn't have a drink," and I was like, "Oh, all right then. I'll make sure. I'll make sure my guests are now well lubricated." So you had your career. So you're 20.
It was just shy of 22.
22, and is that like, again, I'm not military. I don't really. I know bits and bobs, and I know regiments, and I know a lot of people that have done it.
Yeah.
But is 22 like maximum?
Not if you're an officer.
Okay, and you can stay until.
You can, if you get the right contract, you can stay until you're 55.
Okay, right.
Basically, most non-commissioned ranks leave at 22 years.
Okay.
The full pension.
Yeah.
Works. Some can do a bit more. They can extend. The rules are changing a bit, and you can find retired jobs like liaison officers and stuff.
But still in but not in. So you retire, but then you come back and
you kind of like work with the army cadets, or you
I see. Okay.
work in a recruitment.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. So you did that, and then you had your almost a year, I guess, off. Was it?
Yeah, because I had to do an access course because my my qualifications were well over 10 years old.
Yeah.
So I had to do an online one of those. And I actually
because Scotland's O levels.
Oh yeah. Oh well, back in my day.
Yeah.
I was on the cusp of O-level standard grades, and then did hires and all that kind of shit. But I was down in Amesbury at the time in Wiltshire, and I actually started doing CFR on the side.
Oh right, okay, So see if you like it.
Yeah. Well, and I thought you're more likely to go to the jobs that the ambulances are being sent to, so you have a better idea of what's coming. You won't go to the boring ones, but you'll get a flavour of the jobs. And that was actually quite useful, I found. And a lot of the crews are really good. They're like, come into the ambulance. That's because I was like, this is what I want to do. They're like, well, you can do obs. They're probably going sweet. Like,
get a fucking lackey to do it.
I'll get the bruise on.
Paras in the front, like, I'm just gonna go get a kip.
Yeah, but I remember what they do with the CFRs there. They send you out on ride-alongs.
Okay. You do third man in.
Third mans. And the first job I went to was a head-on RTC.
Oh fuck.
What?
So you've done your CFR training, and then your phone's gone off.
Couple of days.
Cat 1, yeah.
Well, I went on the RRV with one of the
paras.
The paras.
Oh, okay.
An ISP. I can't remember his name. Lovely guy, but the went out to this, and I was like, this is exciting. It must be like this all the time because everyone's looking very calm.
Yeah.
And poor lady was pretty bust up. No fatals, thankfully. But that was quite exciting. And then we went to another job, and it was on this second story flat, and it was a larger lady.
I see where that's going.
But she'd overdosed. She'd taken some whatever medication when it was just a bit semi-conscious, a bit out of it. And I was looking at this woman going, there's no way we're going to get her down the stairs.
Yeah, there's no way in shit we're going down the stairs, yeah.
had a career in the army. My back's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
That's
Back and knees.
that's hellish. So this guy calls up for backup, as you do, and he turns up, and the crew turn up. And weirdly, I remember 3 crew members, which I don't know if there was a third man with those as well, but it was 2 quite small ladies,
right?
And this old guy who looked like he was in his 60s. Thought, that's not going to help.
Yeah, this is going fucking.
But this old boy walked over to this woman on the bed, basically. Come on, up you get, and basically frog marched her down the stairs. Can we do that?
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah, she's in the ambulance.
Yeah. Yeah, so we did a load of jobs like that.
He's definitely retired now.
Yes.
Yeah. He's yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, then we did the UE stuff. It was good. I was just thinking, there's another job I did. I was just mentioning fatal RTCs. And fatals are always sad. You know, so it's never a good thing. But I've a kind of motto that I live by: if you can find humour in any situation, you're going to survive it. You're going to win.
I think that's us all, really.
Yeah.
Like,
and we use it as a coping mechanism, and it's just a way to look through life. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of response I've had from this as well. Like, because I've had John on. He's not done his episode yet, but we've recorded it and stuff like that. We had TJ and John Middleton, as you know, and he's just the Joker. Like, he's just
how he gets away with some of this. Well, I know how he gets away. He's just a lovely bloke.
He's just a nice guy. Yeah.
People are like, it's just John.
But everyone. I've had a really positive response because people have seen it and thought, oh yeah, like this is. I'm glad to know that this is what we're all like.
Yeah, and we genuinely do care about the people we go to. It's just you can't get too emotionally involved, or you're going to end up a basket case.
It's that disconnect, isn't it? Like,
you just can't afford to do it for your own mental health.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, while I was a student, I went to this fatal in RTC. It was in a wooded area around Gloucestershire, so probably guess whereabouts.
Yeah.
But it was a head-on collision. And there was an older couple in the other car, and they were fine.
Yeah.
They were mechanically trapped, but they were quite stable.
Yeah, okay.
They just needed cut out. So I turned up, and there was every man and their dog, Hems there,
as
the
always.
whole works.
Yeah.
But the Hems guys were standing in the back going, they actually don't need us, so we're just...
Yeah,
this
is a no-goer sort of thing.
Yeah. And I said, I'll check the other vehicle, and they went, he's dead.
Yeah.
The driver's dead.
Yeah.
I went, all right. And there was a female copper who was going to sort out the body, and I was like, well, I'm not doing anything else. I'll come and help you.
Yeah.
So I went out, and sure enough, he was definitely passed away. We got the body bag out, opened it up, and we said, right, what we'll do is we'll when I say he fell out, he didn't fall out. We helped him.
He had a gentle assistance to the floor.
Yeah. So it wasn't like he sort of we moved him up, but he landed quite gently, but on his front. And I was like, this will work.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll just roll him over into it, zip him up. And being the gentleman, I was like, I'll get the heavier end at the top. You get the hip and legs.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, let's do this. So and we, as we were rolling him over, the guy's Johnson flopped out and nearly hit her in the face. It was like, woof! And she's like,
it was a baby's arm with an apple on the end.
And I was like, say nothing. Don't just zip the guy up. Like, and it was only when we got poor woman nearly hit in the face by a big schlong. And it was only when I got in the back of the ambulance, I was like, Johnny, why did he have his dick out? He's like, I think his trousers ripped or something. I'm like, okay. Sure, this wasn't why he crashed. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I just want to confirm something. Did he have his fucking wang out? Like, oh dear.
What a way to go, though. Yeah.
Oh, happy ending.
Or not, as the case may be.
could just imagine Johnny at home now, listening to this or watching this, just going.
Well, he wasn't involved in that one.
Yeah. Was he just?
Well, he was elsewhere doing stuff.
Oh, okay, so. Right. But this is when you were a student.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was down chatting to one of the HEMS guys and keeping out the way and all the plausible deniability and all that. Yeah.
So that is obviously ingrained in your mind from being a student.
Yeah, amongst many others.
I was about to say, what's the situation have you got yourself in with Johnny that you've thought no one's gonna fucking believe us as a student? You know, not as a registered, but
well,
you know, when you've been stood there, Johnny, ECA, yourself, and you've all just kind of looked at each other like.
Well, they would believe it because we've all, certainly all the paramedics have been in the weirdest of situations. In fact, I was thinking about this the other day. It's the only organisation that I know where almost every single member in it has at some point stepped on a human shit. I mean, it's true though. You're like,
motherfucker.
Everyone. They're horrific. Things people leave
not
lying
dog,
around.
Not cat. Human.
Like, human shit.
Was that Johnny or was that yourself?
Well,
and he's gone, oh, hey, mate, look at my boot.
or you're in the ambulance going, have you shat?
Someone's fucking stinking. It ain't fucking me. Fucking teams, go fuck yourself.
Oh, the smells.
I mean, I was saying, was it John? Oh, I can't remember. I think it's one of the episodes anyway. My mentor was Ryan.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so that's just a clusterfuck in itself.
Talking of smells, yes.
Me and him went to an older lady, and she was lovely, but the house had just been renovated and decorated. Brand new fucking cream carpets everywhere. And she was on the floor.
Can see what's going to happen.
And she was like, oh, hello. And, like, Ryan's talking to her. And he's like, oh, no, we're going to get you up. And, like, his thing. So, like, do you have a thing? You know, that you just, like, you can smell it a mile off. Or, like, you see it and you're like, nope. And of course, obviously, you'll deal with it. But it's just your thing that just fucking gets you.
Yeah, when the diabetic feet go.
Oh, like diabetic neuropathy.
Mm,
oh.
Yeah, that kind of sickly sweet kind of.
And they're in DKA as well.
That's remind me after your story about Ryan about smells, because I did a job with Becky when she was an LDO.
Because she's rapid now, isn't she?
Yeah, I think she's doing SP as well.
Oh, SP, so. That was it. Yeah.
She did rapid, I think, for a bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm maybe.
Yeah. I haven't seen her for years.
Yeah. Oh, she's still.
She's floating around.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Yeah.
No. So we both agreed, like, yep, like bend you in the middle, and we'll stand you up. And I was a student at the time, so I was just following Ryan's lead, like, and just as we started, like, we did some obs, and we're like, oh, you know, she agreed that she hadn't hurt herself or anything like that. And we going to pick her up. Daughter walks in. She's like, "Oh, hello! Like, what are you guys? Oh, Mum's had a fall." And she had pressed their button, so obviously they phoned the daughter and the ambulance at the same time and whatever. Yeah. So we're just gonna get her up. And up until this point, the woman had been completely compos mentis, like fine, GCS 50. You know, no dementia, no nothing. She had just fallen. She had just, you know, unharmed. Gonna get her up. So as we get her up, we pull her up. And obviously she's facing that way. Me and Ryan are facing that way. And at the top of her lungs just goes, "It's coming!" Like, and me and Ryan look at each other like, what's coming? Like a demon? Like,
and
Jesus?
You were right.
Jesus? I don't know. And anyway,
like
this fucking log, like, out of her, she was in like a full length nightie and slippers. This thing came out and it was like the size of my acai bottle. It was like, and it just hit his boot at the speed of light, left a stain, and then rolled across the whole fucking living room. And Ryan just looked at me and I looked at him, and he just went white, and he was like, and I was like, and he's like, have you got her? And I was like, yeah, mate, yeah, I'll do it, it's fine. And he went outside, and the daughter was just like, oh my God, it's brand new carpet. And the woman, I was like, are you feeling much better? And she's like, oh yeah, I feel great now. Like, I'm just like, oh my God. But Ryan's outside, like, not being sick, but just like,
need a breath of fresh air. Well, if it catches you unawares, sometimes.
Yeah, it caught him, like, and he was like, nope.
I did have a job like that with Johnny. Funny enough, an old boy. He didn't fall down. I think he was feeling a little bit unsteady, so he sat down.
He sat down.
He couldn't get back up. And bless. Very, very well spoken, posh gentleman. And we were helping up, and it was clear that he'd had an accident while he was flying.
Yeah,
and Johnny was like, right, one of us has to call the GP, and they'll have to clean him up. And I felt a bit sorry for the old boy, and I was like, I'll get him cleaned up. You call the GP. So I went, come on, sir, let's get to the toilet. So we got him in there, and it was a beautiful house. Lovely, almost mansion.
Yeah.
And dropped his drawers and chucked them in the waste, and I basically had a load of Clinell wipes, and I'm getting elbow deep into this guy's arse crack. Give me a good old, And Johnny's on the phone, and he's trying not to laugh because all he can hear is this old boy saying, "I say, you NHS chappies are rather thorough."
Mo Morrison, pressure washer.
So I should have getting behind the ears. Oh God.
So, sorry, you were going
everyone's got a shit story, haven't they? Everyone in the ambulance service.
So I've had a few people guesting in hopefully a couple of weeks' time. Everyone has a shit story. Everyone has an up the arse story. So I can't remember what John called it. It was like a foobar, like a foreign body up arse. A foobar.
I've not had one of those.
Oh really? Okay.
As
if you listen to previous episodes, I definitely have for some fucking reason.
The closest I had was a younger lady who'd lower abdominal pain, and I asked her to describe what the pain felt like, and she said it felt like being finger banged by Freddy Krueger. I was like, I can put this in inverted commas, can't I, into the report? I can I?
Yeah, I can get this in on notes. I can definitely get this in on a notes. Like, just so that whoever's reading it is going forward is just like, what?
Oh, bless her.
So sorry, you were before my fucking tangent of shit. Like you were going into diabetic feet.
Oh yeah. It's one of the things I just can't take. It makes my eye twinge. Oh, but the other smell, the one I was talking about, Becky.
Thing, yeah. Okay.
So I said it was an LDO shift, so she was monitoring how I was doing. I love doing shifts.
This is registered. Yeah. Okay.
I absolutely loved working with her because
she's good crack.
Great crack. It was always some interesting jobs.
Yeah.
She'd let you run with it, but it was always there as a safety net and helping you out. Absolutely brilliant. But we went to this job, and it came through as a female who was saying that she was suicidal, wanted to kill herself.
Yeah.
And it was one that was a heavy user of the ambulance service. I think we all know where that's going. And we got there, and we got to the front door in the block of flats, and banging on the door, and it's silent as the grave in there. We're hearing nothing, and it wasn't even that somebody's dead in there. It's like somebody's purposely being quiet to get. I was like, she's in there. I know it.
Yeah.
And we're banging the door, and it's like, look, we're going to have to get the fire service to break the door down. You've got to let us in. And I thought, I'll just have a look through the letterbox. And I opened it, and I was a bit careful. I got my shears out to press the little fuzzy, the little fuzzy bit.
He's getting in a fight with the microphone.
Groundskeeper Willie's coming out. The old fuzzy bit that.
Yeah.
So I pressed that down. And there was about 16 cats looking at me. I was like...
just all at the letterbox, like, meow.
And she wasn't going to answer, so we got the fire guys out, who were about to do the door, and they went, oh, wait, well, we kicked this one in last week. We'll just undo the screws and pull the panel off, and we could get in that way. And as we did this woman ran into the toilet and in the bathroom and locked the door and refused to talk to us. And
I'll play with the cats.
we're like, well, we opened the door and the stench of stale cat urine. It was like a shovel to the face. It was horrific.
Yeah.
And the fire guys wouldn't let us go in without their breathing apparatus. It said that ammonia will burn your lungs.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm getting this thing in, and it was like something out of Ninja Warrior. I'm jumping from clean patch to clean patch because there's cat shit everywhere.
Yeah.
On this, and it's just the smell is burning my eyes, and I'm at the bathroom door going, "Oh, you have to get out. You have to talk to us."
Yeah.
And all she was doing was communicating by pushing little letters under the door saying, "With fuck off." Like, oh, great.
Well, you phoned us.
Yeah, it's like, come on. And eventually we said, look, if you can give us your date of birth and your full name, we can put it on our details, we can find you, and then we'll leave.
Yeah.
And so she put it through.
You can refuse treatment at any point,
And it had the name, it had the date of birth with fuck off written again. Like, right. So we filled it
Take
in.
a photo of the fuck off.
Of course, we're still talking to a load of mental health people and trying to do safeguarding, and there's a lot of other things going on.
Yeah.
And this other note came shooting under the door, and it had, "You said you'd fuck off if I gave you all these details. You haven't done it. You're a bunch of bastards." The whole works. I was like, "Oh, that's a bit charming." And I showed it to Becky, whose eyes widened. And she went, "Oh, she's got capacity. She's taken your information. She's understood it. She's remembered it, and she's repeated it back to us in her own words. Brilliant. We can leave." So,
Click.
we got in the back into the cab of the ambulance, and we sat there. Right. We stink of cat piss, don't we? Went, yes, we do.
Stink of cat piss.
Just and that was years ago.
Yeah.
And to this day, I've mentioned it to her just a few weeks ago, and she was like, "Oh, that job is horrific." If you ever get her on, her thing is phlegm. She can't take phlegm.
Like sputum, like yeah. So that that's my mum's thing. So when she was a student nurse, she went onto a respiratory ward, and they were obviously like trachees and deep suction. And anytime like someone's got like a proper productive cough, you can just see my mum being like, get that shit away from me. Fucking hell.
I've just remembered one about when you're saying no one will believe this.
Yeah.
We did go to one job where it was a lady in a wheelchair. And she was clearly in there 24/7.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a very comfortable wheelchair, as they should be.
Lecky thing. And, yeah. Okay.
And she was a bit of a frequent caller, but and it was a nonsense call anyway. She said her leg hurt. It was like, well, you haven't moved it for 15 years. So,
yeah,
come on. But she let us in, and the place had absolutely no furniture in it whatsoever.
Oh.
And I thought, well, if you don't have people around, I guess why would you need furniture? Because you really...
Yeah, if she needs space to...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll give you that.
Yeah.
And we went in, and the next room, all around the inside on the walls, were these 2-foot-high clown dolls.
No.
Oh, and it wasn't like the happy clown. It was
the eyes move.
It was the ones with the pointy hats and the kind of black eyes. And all that. They're creeping me out. And then we, in the middle, was one of those old Victorian prams.
Oh, fuck!
And I was like, I'm not going in there.
No, thank you. Goodbye.
Like, right, well, and Johnny went, look, let's just do a set of obs and we'll do one.
Yeah.
This is clearly nonsense.
Creepy as shit.
And you went down. It was when we had the life pack, so you bent down to get the BP cuff out of it, and she basically goosed him from behind, grabbed him from behind on his arse, and he shot up and was like,
"Yep, I'm leaving."
And he didn't say a thing, and I was like, "You shouldn't be doing that." Right.
Yeah.
I'll take over. Did a set of obs. Like, right.
Yeah. Bye.
We're leaving, and Johnny hadn't said a word since. Yeah. And we got into the back. Oh, put all the stuff in the back of the RV. He got into the driver's seat. I got into the passenger
and he's just
seat.
staring.
And he's staring.
1,000-yard stare.
And he said, "She got a bit of scrotum." That's a deep gooch. That was.
got a good fucking
man.
handful.
Oh.
Johnny went home a bit traumatized that night. She touched me. Can you show me on the dolly where she did?
It's the old ladies, though. Some of them are absolute perverts. It's incredible.
I think, yeah, when they get when they get a bit of a dementia, or they get like a absolutely raging UTI, and then it's like, hello.
Yeah.
They're not only super perverted but super strong.
Man, the strength of 10 men, some of them.
Yeah. So, the only time that I've ever received a needle stick injury was from a woman with a absolutely raging UTI, and she was 5 stone dripping wet with stones in her pockets, and my old permanent sort of crewmate Jamie went to cannulate her, and then there was a bit of a kerfuffle, and then he went, "Where's my cannula gone?" And it was through my hand. And he was like, oh my God. And I was like, it's fine. And I just went, huh? Like, but thankfully, like, he hadn't, like, you know, hadn't jabbed her or anything like that. It had just come from the packet and straight through my hand. But I had to go through the whole, like, Ocky health thing and all that sort of stuff. But I'll never forget, like, the look on his face of, oh my God, like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
That actually happened to a friend of mine when she was a student, and our mentor drove to the hospital going, everybody's got AIDS, 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 everybody's got... Brutal.
It's like, if he could, he'd probably be doing a dance. What is it? Not HIV, but full-blown AIDS. Is that Team America? Speaking of cats, everyone, you may be wondering why I'm wearing a shirt that has cats tacos in the universe. So, Mo bought me this for... I don't even know why you bought me it.
Everyone loves tacos and cats.
Everyone loves tacos and cats. He bought me it, and then he said, I'll only come on the podcast if you wear the shirt, so I'm wearing the shirt.
Suits you.
I don't know.
Brings out your eyes.
Where else would you wear it? I don't know. You can't sit in the middle of Wagamama's like, hey man, because they will definitely get the police. Be like, this man's on drugs. Like, correct. Ketamine. Oh no, catamine.
Ah, see what you did there.
For audience purposes, I don't take drugs.
We don't need to, really.
No, don't need to. We're fucking psychotic as it is.
Maybe we should be taking... No.
Maybe. So I see you've got a list there.
Oh, yeah. It was because, getting on in my years and my brain isn't what it used to be.
Well, John used the list as well, so...
He's old as well.
I'm gonna clip that and just send him that. Just be like, John's old, with you agreeing. And he's gonna just be like... So what's on your list?
Where are we? Well, I kind of broke it down because I didn't know what you guys were wanting to hear about. So I've got funny
Everything.
jobs, weird jobs, memorable jobs, reasons I joined.
Okay, well, I think we covered the reasons you joined, really. I mean, it was a bit... Yeah. It wasn't too far from the military, I guess. So.
Yeah, and it was... The thing is, with the army, especially on tours, you saw, I suppose, life at its rawest.
Yeah, okay.
You saw some pretty gnarly life events when people being killed, all the battles, all that sort of stuff. Well, that didn't happen every day, obviously.
Yeah.
But there were certain spikes in your career where you were, your arse was going half a penny sixpence.
Well, don't you have a photo on Saddam's throne?
No.
Or at Saddam's palace or something like that?
We did go to Saddam's palace.
Oh, you did go? Oh, okay. Because I
that
know
was
there's
the
a
one
load
in
of Yanks
Basra.
with loads of...
And funnily enough, when I was there, I forgot about this. I was looking around. I was like, no one's... very few people, certainly Westerners, have ever been here before.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful place. And you this huge, like artificial lake in the middle of it
that he had built.
Yeah, and it had like turtles in it.
And okay, shit.
And I thought, I want to do something that will be memorable to me that only I've ever done. And and I can, it's
Yeah.
my claim to fame.
I
that
fucking
can
did
do.
that. Yeah.
And I was like, I've got my trainers in my bag. I know what I'm going to do. So I basically stripped bollock naked, put the trainers on, and I was like, I'm going to be the only guy to run round this pond bollock naked in Saddam's palace. So off I went for this run. And unknown to me, the full screw, the corporal I was with, thought that was a good idea, and he stripped off and started running around as well. So all these poor Americans just watching these two Brits bollock naked, it was like one's naked, the other guy's chasing after him, also naked. Like, what are these weird limeys doing to each other?
What in the porno is this?
Like, so it looked incredibly gay. Oh well.
I think the Americans do have a very what's the word, defined idea of British people that we're just fucking nuts.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I found I got on the American Marines are very similar to the Brit Army.
Okay, right.
They've got the same sort of ethos, same sort of humour.
Okay.
Because weirdly enough, although the US Marines as a force is bigger than the UK forces combined, it's still almost like the poor boy of the American military.
Okay.
So they've had to basically cobble everything together and
from
make
peanuts.
do. And they have that ethos of we'll just get it done.
Just get on with it.
Yeah, I like them.
But is that compared to the American Army?
I mean, I don't get me wrong.
Are they just a different breed?
I like, a lot of people will diss on the American Army. I quite liked them, but they were a little bit more, let's see, almost like techie or bookish or more. I wouldn't say more intellectual, but that kind of.
Yeah.
They're more doctrine and this is how we do things, and a bit more straight laced, whereas the US Marines were a bit wilder.
Give him a box of crayons.
Yeah, but I also worked with the Danish guys, and they were crazy.
Right.
Great guys.
Yeah.
But they just fully embodied the whole Viking thing.
Yeah. Just full force, berserker.
Yeah, like they would take like their battle axes on patrol and stuff. You're like, what's going on?
If I run out of ammunition, I'm gonna fucking stab someone.
Yeah, it's like one of the tank commanders had like a full-on, bigger beard than I had, smoking a big cigar on top of a leopard turret.
It's like, he's definitely unhinged.
Yeah, a bunch of lunatics. I love them. Brilliant.
Amazing.
Oh, sorry, what am I looking at now? Oh,
memorable or funny.
Funny. There's one that...
Is this ambulance service?
Yeah, I feel... another case like that. Well, it wasn't any parting thing, but as you know, in the RRV, you get sent to a lot of concerns for welfare. And it's usually... Can
you just go look at this?
Yeah, somebody's rolled over on their pendant 99 times out of 100. And I turned up at this lady's house, this older lady, and got the key code, opened up, and I was shouting for her. I remember the TV was blaring, really loud. I thought, and I'm going round all the rooms and I can't find her, and she obviously can't hear me because the TV's on.
You're getting a bit freaked out.
And I'm like, is she in the cupboard? And I'm like,
she's going to jump out behind you and stab you in the head.
I don't like this. Yeah. And I checked everywhere, and the last one was actually the bedroom, and I opened it up, and this lovely, sweet little old lady sitting on the edge of the bed, and she'd just taken everything out of her handbag and had it on the bed.
Right.
And she looked up, and bless her, she was like, "Oh, hello, dear." And I was like, "Oh, hello. Yeah, I think you pressed, oh, did I?" And it was close. She was quite full on with the dementia, and she had carers that came round several times a day. Yeah. But for whatever reason, she decided to get up and take all the stuff out of her handbag. So I went, right, let's put all that back in. Let's pop you into bed. You can have a wee snooze. And she went, "Oh, thank you." So she went back to bed, switched off the light, closed the door. I thought, well, I best write up the paperwork. Yeah. And so I turned the TV off because it was far too loud. And I'm doing the paperwork.
Neighbours must be fucking...
Yeah. And this, definitely late at night. And I got that feeling, you're like, I really need the loo. This is I thought,
I'm gurgling.
I'll just use her toilet. I'm sure she would be happy for me to anyway. I'll just go in. I'll make sure the door's locked in case she comes in. So I went in, and you talk about your bottle. This thing was a behemoth. I was like,
The fucking Titanic came out your ass.
God. And it was one of those, you feel a little bit sweaty afterwards. Like, I feel my legs are a bit weak, but just like to flush it away. It wouldn't flush. It's like, go away. Waiting for the thing to fill up. Like, so I did what any sensible, adult, mature person would do. I ran away. And I just... Because I thought...
You just hear the...
Either she'll turn up in the morning and go, well, I don't remember doing that, or the carers will come in and just,
deal with it.
Feed her more.
Yeah. You
more
need a
fiber.
bit more. You need a bit more fiber in your diet, girl.
Oh, poor lass. So.
The only like memorable thing about having to use the toilet in someone's house that I've had is that I went to a house and it was just a very normal house, and I was just having one of those days where I didn't have time in the morning, and I got to station thinking, oh, I'll go once I've signed my drugs out, and then as you're signing your drugs out, it's like doo, 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 doo. And I was like, oh no, oh god. And I got to this, dealt with the job. I was like, can I just borrow your toilet? And she was like, yeah, absolutely fine. So led me down the corridor, and then she's like, and if it doesn't flush, just use the knife. And I was like, sorry, what? Like, she's like, the knife. And I was like, right.
Is it going to attack me?
Yeah. And I started, like, my brain's doing like 500,000 miles an hour, and I was just like, anyway, after the second time of asking, you're almost embarrassed to like be like, what? Like, and then sure enough, I went to the toilet, and on the back of the door there was like this really long like bread knife, and I was like, what? Anyway, finished, and I was like, I'm really sorry, like I've got to like really ask here, like what's with the knife? And she's like, oh, if it's too big to flush, just chop it up. And I was like, it's on the back of the fucking door.
Was this the forest you were in? What kind of... May have been.
It's the Forest of Dean. No. The forest is very normal for anyone.
Lovely place. Yeah, the dogs love it.
Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, Mallet's Pike.
Yes.
Bit of a dip there. Blimey. Oop. Shit. Put it somewhere before I fuck it. Oh, fucking hell. So you've obviously had a wide and varied sort of life, like from military ambulance service, and then during your time, I think you weren't very long in the service, like registered in the service, were you? So as I started with, ladies and gentlemen, Mo's the only guy I've ever known to win a fight with a concrete truck. So I think we'll go down the concrete truck route. Like,
yeah.
My only memory of it is it going out on the radio, and it was a general broadcast, and it was like, can anyone respond? And I think it was Holly Bourne.
Yeah, no, Gil. Yeah.
Yeah, now Gil. Yeah. That went to you, and I was obviously fucking bricking it. So yeah. What happened?
So it was a night shift. I was on the RRV, and I'd just been to a guy, I think he was in his 50s, whatever, but he was having a quite a nasty heart attack.
Okay.
It was inferior STEMI, and I was
big
like,
boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was
bother.
basically clutching on the kitchen counter.
Yeah.
I
gonna
could
die.
tell just
like...
by looking at him, going, "Oh, you are sweaty."
Shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got the dots on while getting a P1 back up, because I'm like, this guy's gonna.
Yeah. He's having an MI. Like minus 12 lead. He's having an MI.
Yeah. And we got him. We ended up. I jumped in the back of the ambulance with him, because I was like, this guy might arrest.
This is going sideways.
Took him down to Bristol. The guy was fine.
Yeah.
As it
Okay.
turned out. He. I mean, he was still having a heart attack,
Yeah,
but he survived.
Stented out the door.
He actually knows. Anyway, so they dropped me back at the car, and I was about an hour or so late. But I wasn't. I was tired, but I wasn't exhausted. In fact, I was in a bit of a high, because I'd actually done a pretty good job.
Done
so
a
I was
job.
like,
proper
saved your
job.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy days. And the last thing I remember is just driving down this road. Unknown to me, the road actually crossed over quite a decent A road that was 60 mile an hour. And the give way sign was covered up by the trees that had overgrown it. And it was just, it was a really bad black spot. It just looks like I think it was an old Roman road.
Okay.
So it's straight as a die.
Yeah.
And I just went straight over it. And this cement truck slammed into the side of me. I don't remember any of that. Apparently I span and hit through a wall and all
so I'll post the pictures up above my head somewhere so you can have a look at that. It's pretty fucking mullered.
Yeah. So the first thing I remember little patches when I was waking up because there was, I think it was a tech, Pete.
Pete. Yeah.
He came to me first, and he thought I'd done the spine.
Oh,
but
shit.
apparently I was like, no, I can move my legs like this. Oh, right. He's like, okay, all right, I believe you. Just. And I remember sitting there thinking, there's definitely things broken inside.
Yeah, I am a bag of mashed potato right now.
It's a bit stingy. So fire came, Simon turned up. I remember his ugly mug right in front of me.
Yeah,
was he talking to me?
Was he operations? Because he was an officer at the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or was he
I don't
para?
know. I think he might have been an OWO.
Okay.
I think,
hello, Simon.
I think Holly was in the passenger seat. She'd already got a line in. I got a full 20 milligram of morphine, and it was still very
fucking
painful,
sore.
which makes me far more generous when I'm giving morphine.
I was about to say. So, has this experience, like, I know to tangent, but has this experience changed you clinically?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It did give me more empathy for people that have had crashes. And,
Yeah. Okay.
Or saying, I'm in a lot of pain.
fucking agony. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So fire were trying to cut me out, and it's weird. They said it was a bit odd because they'd never cut up an RRV before, and it's all very different. In the inside, they've got wires in different places, and they were just not quite sure what they were doing.
Yeah. Okay.
But then one of the HEMS guys turned up, and he was like, check me out. He said, do you think you could step out? I was like, a bit like the old Highlander, I'll bloody well walk out of here.
Yeah, I'm fucking walking.
So I managed to get out, and I managed to stagger to the stretcher and put me in, and I was like, my ribs are killing me here.
Painful, yeah.
And my head was fuzzy, but I was like, I don't have any neuropathy. Everything's working.
Yeah. I've got 4 limbs.
and of course, they didn't know exactly what had happened to me, so they were like, yeah, I can go to Gloucester Hospital. So, don't need Southmead. So off I went. They did the full scan of me, and I'd fractured 7 ribs with flail. I'd fractured my ulna. I had one of the C3, I think. It was a avulsion fracture.
Okay.
That happened there. I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah. But just from that side impact, like.
Concussion, lung contusion. A little aortic dissection.
Just a
smidge.
A smidge of unzipping, sir.
Yes. The truck driver was fine. He was, a bit shaken up, cuts and bruises, but I think they took him to the hospital, but released him that day. Went,
yeah,
okay,
he was fine. Yeah.
Fine. Whereas
bigger vehicle wins.
Yeah. But it ended up on its side, so that's what I'm saying. It was a draw. So I spent 5 days in hospital.
Okay.
I then went to work for the frequent caller team.
Yeah.
And funny enough, while I was there, and I was still, quite sore.
Yeah.
While this was all going on, but when I was there, I thought I'm under a bit of a cloud here because I've just trashed it. I was still new.
Yeah.
I was like, I've trashed the vehicle. I'm gonna get my arse kicked for this. Yeah. Unknown to me, everyone was like really worried about me and was like, I don't give a shit about the car.
It's a piece of tin, mate.
Don't worry about it. And to be fair, the police were very good. I did go to interview with them, and when I could drive again, I actually went out to the crash site and I basically did my own crash investigation.
Okay.
So I was taking measurements, photos, videos, the whole works. Yeah. So when I went into the interview, I was like, well, you'll see the give way signs.
Covered up.
Covered up.
Yeah.
And said in the legal documents I found, you should be able to see them clearly from this distance for that speed limit, and it's less than half.
I can't see shit.
And they went, oh, we didn't take any photos from that area.
Yeah.
Can we keep these? I was like, yeah, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
So I ended up, but he said because another individual was involved, he said, we have to do something.
Yeah.
And he said, look, if we do a driver awareness course,
yeah, small price to pay, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll just draw a line under it. And I was like, well, I just wanted it to go away.
Yeah. You don't want that looming over your head or anything
I didn't
like
want
that,
it to go to court. And I might have done all right in court with it, because, that was a pretty strong mitigating circumstance. But I just wanted to go away and get on with my life. So did the course. That was all fine. And as I said, I went to work for frequent callers. And because I thought I was under a cloud, I worked my arse off. I really put in the hours, and the guy my boss at the time, was like, "Where the fuck's this guy coming from? He used to, twice the work of everyone else. He was staying late, and he's just
cracking on,
doing it all." So weirdly enough, I had to go back to the frequent caller team again for another couple of months, and this was during COVID, and. They called him up and went, "Do you want Mo back for a couple of months?" He was like, "Yes, God, yes, get over." He was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah, your fucking reputation follows you.
But it meant good. I had to work that hard again for 2 months. Can't slack now. I've made a reputation. Like,
yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but bit of a laugh, wasn't
it? Yeah. Bottoms up, boys. This fucking concrete chuck knocked the shit out of you. Do you still have anything residual from it, or you're pretty good?
I go for a scan on the section every year. It's very minor.
Okay, so no repair or anything like that, just...
no, I didn't have any operations or anything like that.
Okay.
I'm sure if I ever get to old age...
they might be like, oh, the fucking...
I'll be able to tell you when the wet weather's coming in.
Yeah, my bones fucking hurt. Yeah, fucking hell.
But yeah, no, I'm not good on morphine, it turns out. I yak everywhere.
Oh, right. Yeah. And no amount of ondansetron, metoclopramide, or cyclazine is going to help you.
All got my beard. It was a mess. Nasty.
Yeah, so it took your pain away, but...
Yeah. Actually, they did have some other stuff that was... because they had a drip, so it was one of those, you press a wee button and you can get a little dose, and that was fine. So when people were coming in to visit me, if I found them a bit boring, I was like, click, click, click.
How to get out of a situation. I'm gonna fucking dose myself up. Jesus Christ. Oh, you get now. Anytime you're in hospital, I'm just gonna be like, "Are you pressing that fucking button?" Hey! Don't be doing that.
Thing is, I spent 22 years in the army and not a scratch on me.
Yeah, I was about to say.
There.
So.
I mean, I've been through all sorts. I've had tanks explode next to me. I've been shot at a few times, and nothing. I'll just get out and join the ambulance service. That's
fucking bang. Like, I'm just fuck you.
Finally recover from that, and some other global pandemic happens. You're on the front line. What?
Hang about. Hey.
This is shit.
Yeah, you've literally been to somewhere where people are trying to kill you every day, and now it's like, get out, do something else. Nope, not anymore. I think one of the funniest things you told me very early on was you were stood giving a briefing or something like that, and then an AK round came across and fucking whizzed past your head or something, and you went, "Is that cunt shooting at me?"
Oh no, it was the first time anyone ever shot at me.
Oh right. Did he just fucking shoot me?
I was indignant. I was like, "How dare you? I'm an officer with the Royal Commission. Her Majesty, Great White Mother, has put me into this desolate place to bring the Empire back, and you're shooting." Whereas my full screw was in the turret with me. He's like desperately dragging me down. Like, "Get that fucking down, you idiot! How dare he? Bloody..." Yeah. So that was the. And weirdly enough, the first battle we're in, it lasted for quite a while. And as things happen, because you're drinking water all the time, I was like, "Oh, I need a piss."
Yeah.
And whenever we were on exercise, and it sounds stupid now, and I understand it sounds silly now, but whenever we were on exercise, what we do is we just jump out, stand in the turret, and piss off the warrior, which is like a small tank. It's an armoured vehicle. So piss off that. So I just went, be back in a second, and my fool's go, where you going, boss? 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 And I just jumped out, whacked my lad out, was pissing as these rounds like, boom!
Boss, get back in the tank!
Jump back in, and he was just looking at me going, he's going to get me killed. He's going to get me, he's a fucking idiot. They were real, weren't they?
Yeah. That was not blanks. That was actual rounds, downrange to you.
And that same battle, I remember somebody fired an RPG at us. And I could see it coming, and it's a weird thing. It's not straight. It sort of does a weird like.
Oh right, so it doesn't like corkscrew or anything like that.
It's all over the place.
Right.
And a bit like when you throw a firework and it just
does what it wants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this thing went straight, and it was heading straight for us and hit this bun line right in front of us, which saved us essentially. Right. And my driver of the vehicle, I could hear him on the intercom going, I've just felt the fear run down the back of my leg.
Yeah. Oh, we almost fucking died.
Yeah. That was
Would the warrior have taken an RPG?
I mean,
would it have swallowed it like? Or?
It would have, because the way they'd specialised ammunition, armour on it, it would have managed. We did have one. The thing is, if they fire more than one, though, they can do quite a bit of damage.
Same spot sort of thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because some vehicles have things like explosive reactive armour, not necessarily Brits, but other nations, where when it hits the armour, sets off its own detonation and kind of it neutralises that blast.
Okay.
I don't know the full technical terms of it, but we did have...
Tankies can tell in the comments.
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, I was actually supporting the Scots DG guys out there with their Challenger 2 tanks. Brilliant guys to work for, absolutely brilliant. They come across a little bit of hoorie Henrys. A bit.
They're a bit rough, like.
Oh no, more like hello.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. Rupert.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you get them into that situation, they know their shit.
Yeah.
And we did one operation. It was called Op James, and it was actually named after all the James Bond films. all the areas. So
Goldfinger.
Yeah, it was Goldfinger. And they would, whenever they went through an area, they'd say, right, we've just gone through Moonraker or whatever. And one guy came up and went, oh, Zero, this is Yankee 2-1, we've just got pussy over. So, say again, over. We've just got pussy over. I said, I heard you the first time. I just love the way you say it.
Fucking hell.
Then went for galore. And, but there was one tank there that got... they basically got ambushed. And they fired a ton of RPGs at it, blew both the tracks off, and damaged all the sighting equipment. And so the lads were basically in a big metal box.
Yeah.
Because once the tracks have come off a tank, it's really difficult to
do anything
about it. And I'd already been positioned at a point where I was watching for any reinforcements from the Iraqis coming in, and they called me up. And so I think it was a Yankee 1-6. I can't remember my call sign, but it was the squadron leader was shouting at me, and you don't radio voice procedure and radio discipline, you don't swear on the net. It's very short, sharp, and
free base full set.
And he was like, Yankee 1-6, get your fucking arse here now. And I'm like, that's bad. So we drove over there. Yeah,
if someone's swearing on the battle net, it's
things have gone to shit. And we got there, and there was a row of tanks, and they just turned their chain guns towards the tree line, and they were just raking it with chain gun fire. And these guys were still in there, and we drove right up to the tank, popped the back doors of the Warrior, and the crew ran out and got into our vehicle so that we're at least safe. And then we got the mechanical engineers up to try and extract this tank, the old recovery mechs, and that that took about 7.5 hours on its own to get this thing out. It took forever, and this was all under fire.
Yeah. They're still firing fucking rounds at you.
Yeah. And we called in some smoke rounds, and I got them very close to the point I knocked one of the back bins off one of the tanks with one of the shells. So I was like, sorry.
Yeah. Danger close.
Yeah, but that was, I think I must have stayed awake for about 40 hours for the whole battle. I was knackered.
So you just become delirious.
Yeah. And it's really hard. Once you get over that adrenaline rush, you start really getting the nodding dog. And But they got a couple of recovery vehicles called Cravs in, and 2 of them dragged this tank out. It took a while.
Fucking hell.
I think the recovery mechanic, I think he got the military cross for that.
Holy shit, right? Yeah, just for getting out of there. And, absolutely. Yeah. Jesus.
I didn't get bugger all.
I was about to say, your so I've only ever seen your minis, so your medals, because the in your words, the big ones pull you back out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's your rack, as it were?
They're all just for, as I call it, for turning up.
So, right.
I've got the usual Queen's Jubilee medals.
Jubilees, yeah.
Long service and good conduct, because I got away with it.
There's probably a lot of lads out there like, fucking hell.
Accumulated service medal, and that's if you do a certain number of hours.
Oh, okay.
A certain number of days on operational tour.
Okay.
On the actual tours, Northern Ireland, did several tours out there. I got involved in the riot. Somebody actually threw a pool ball at my head at one of the riots. Fucking hurt. Dick. So Northern Ireland was in Kosovo, in the initial invasion bit in 99, 2000.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a tour. Cyprus, where I basically got a suntan and went diving.
Sounds pretty good.
That was with the UN. Then Iraq, 2 tours of Afghan, which sounds. Of the 2 tours, the first one, the most dangerous thing I did was spill coffee on myself.
Okay.
I was in a divisional headquarters, very safe and all that. Iraq was my war, really.
Right. I was about to say, because I've seen a photo of you in Afghanistan, I believe, and it's next to a United States guy, and he is a fucking mountain of a man.
Yeah,
like
Randy.
An absolute. He is a monster. He is like double the size of you.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Yeah. Like,
but loveliest, sweetest guy.
I know, but you wouldn't fuck with him. If he came running at me, I'd be like, I'm dead. I am fucking dead. Like, he wasn't just tall. He was just, like, all of his proportions. And, you're not a small guy. And when you put him next to you, and you're obviously, like, when was that? Like, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, it was 2000... Yeah, about that.
Yeah, so you're 10 years younger, and, and you look at the size of him, and you're like, fucking hell, look at the fucking kip of him.
Yeah, it's a big old dude. Weirdly enough, he wasn't even the most dangerous guy that I worked with out there. Not by a long shot. There was a lovely little guy who was a French Canadian.
Okay.
He looked like he should be.
Was he JFT or something like that?
Well, he looked like he should be making little wooden toys for kids, or run one of those old-fashioned sweet shops. That have got little bottles of gobstoppers and all that. And I was chatting to him, and every Friday he would bring us all coffees and donuts. Lovely little guy. Turned out he was a sniper in Rwanda back in the day, and he killed more.
Just fucks people up.
He was deadly guy. You're like, okay.
What's your count, mate? And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Lost count.
Oh, was that before he joined the Canadian military?
No, that because the Canadians were over.
We're in Rwanda,
the UN, and he was, I believe he was one of the guys who was the personal bodyguards for General... I've forgotten the name of the guy. It's a French-sounding name. He was out there and
fucking hell,
popping souls.
Taking fuck. That's a damn good deal.
But yeah, nice guy.
Fucking hell. So you've talked a lot about, I guess, memorable moments in your military and ambulance career. But do you have one that really sticks out that, like, the one that, like, So I always tell the Toy Story doll story, because that's, what's the story that comes out at parties the most with you? Like, either ambulance or, like, is that something that's just...
Yeah, well, first of all, I always find it odd that people always want to know the worst job you've ever been to.
Oh, I fucking hate that question.
Like, and I get why.
I understand
people
it,
have that morbid curiosity, there's a bit of that.
Yeah, but then...
they're asking the wrong question.
But people have pushed me to do that, and I've told them, and then someone cries.
Yeah. Like... but in my opinion, they're asking the wrong question. They should say, what's the weirdest job you've ever done?
Yeah. So,
or what's the proudest job you've ever done? Or something like that. Or, any of them.
Yeah.
But...
I think John, it was the weirdest job. Like, so episode 3 was John Middleton, and weirdest job, and he told me some weird shit.
But best job I've ever done, hands down. It was a few years ago now. I was on the car. It was something like 10 days before Christmas, something like that. It was winter, definitely Christmas time.
Yeah. You've got your jumper on.
And I was on a night shift, and I was just about to go on my break, and Cat 1 came through, so, and it was, I think it was for a 40-something-year-old male having a seizure. And I thought, well, it'll push my break out a bit.
Yeah.
I'll go to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was in, it wasn't, I was going to be first on scene.
Yeah. You weren't far. Yeah.
They were sending a truck behind me, and as I was going there, they called up and went, "This is an arrest.
Oh.
CPR's in progress." Oh, shit.
Yeah. It's gone from here to, shit.
So I pull up, and basically, you know what it's like, you pop the back boot, and you basically go, and you lift everything.
Stuff. Just stuff and things.
And I remember there was a young kid who opened the door and went, "Follow me," and I went into the living room.
Roger that.
And there's two kids that sat on the sofa next to the Christmas tree with all the presents underneath, while the wife was doing CPR on her husband who was on the floor. And I just dropped everything down. Yeah. And I was like, "Carry on doing what you're doing."
Yeah.
And she turned around and went, I can't have the kids here," and ran and grabbed them and ran out the room. And I was like, I'll get on the chest then.
Yeah.
Because I could already hear the other guys pulling up. So I was like, got on the chest. They came in, and thankfully it was a good team. It was one of those safe pair of hands here. Yeah,
it's where your backup walks in and you go, right. Yeah,
we've got
jobs on, lads.
Yeah, got a couple of professionals here. Bearing this is middle of the night, so we didn't have any hems. They weren't on.
Yeah. It was after 2 in the morning.
Yeah. So we start working on Dave. He came in. He got stuck in. He was doing CPR and the whole work. We were working him.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, unknown to us, the guy we were working on was best friends with one of the ECAs that we work with.
Oh shit! Okay.
I won't mention names.
They know.
Yeah, they know. Yeah. So she came in her civvies because the wife had called and went, "Husband's in cardiac arrest. They're working on it now." So she came round, bouldered into the room and went, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
And it sounds silly now, and I've told them both this, but the ECA and the wife look very similar. They're mistaken for sisters.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
doppelgangers.
I was focusing on this guy. I hadn't really seen the wife that well, so I thought that was the wife. So I'm like, right, his heart's not working properly, so we're just trying to get it started again. And she's like, "What the fuck? Dave, what the fuck's going on?" And he's like, clearly an arrest. So she runs off. And I was like, "That's a bit weird. What was that about?" And they went, "Well, that's so-and-so, the ECA." And I was like, "Oh, right." But in my head, I thought the wife was the ECA. So it was still thinking this is one person.
Yeah.
Anyway, we worked on this guy. And we worked him for about 40 minutes.
Oh, shit.
That's a long time. But I was like, I can't give up. It's Christmas presents under the tree.
Yeah.
We were putting IOs in, the whole works. And I remember one round, I grabbed his wrist and I was like, "I've got a pulse."
Yeah.
And I remember Dave saying, "That's probably the adrenaline, mate." Like, "It's not going away."
Yeah.
and he was doing this weird kind of trying to breathe for himself. I thought,
all right then,
let's go for it.
Yeah.
So and really, I didn't want to let go of his wrist, because in my head it was like, if I let go, the pulse will go away.
Arrest again, yeah.
So I was like, holding on to this like for grim death.
Yeah.
We got the stretcher and piled him into Gloucester Hospital, and we went into the resus and they were intubating him, and I came out and the actual wife was outside at this point.
Right.
And I went up to her and I was like, how are you doing? And she was like, well, I'm still in shock. And I was like, I'm not surprised. It's a horrific thing that's going to happen. And she said, what's happening to him now? And I said, well, they're just doing an RSI, and in the resus. And she's like, what's RSI? What's that mean? I was like, what kind of shit ECA is this? Doesn't know what RSI. And then the ECA came out.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like.
But then the ECA came out and hugged her, and I was like, oh, right. Of course. Right.
Ah, yes, I see. I see the error of my ways.
So, as you know, though, whenever you get ROSC, get them back, you're only halfway there.
Yeah, and it's so you started moving towards the edge of the woods, but you're
not
fucking,
out of them.
No.
And I've always been very careful of that. Of going, let's just see how things go, and it does take a few days.
7%. That's shit odds, isn't it?
Yeah. But we said, right, let's just see how it goes. You need a few days anyway for them to try and wake him up and see what happened. And I think I sent in a message to UCA, like, have you heard any news?
Yeah.
And this was, in fact, I think this was Boxing Day. I messaged. It was around that time.
Yeah.
And she sent me a photo back of this guy sitting up having a Christmas dinner. He still had the little nasal in.
Yeah. He still had
a little party hat on, around with his family and all that. And for a couple of years after that, I was getting crates of Guinness sent on the date that he, I was like,
oh, what?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I've still got the card. Thank you card
that's your.
I was like, if I do nothing else in this career,
I've done something.
That's my
that's what
golden job.
Yeah, that's what we're all here for, and that's what we all want to see. Yeah, that's cool as shit, mate.
Yeah, and I did chat to the ECA a while back.
I'm really sorry about that confusion.
She found that funny, but I remember saying to her once, I went, has he got any residual effects? Because he was down for 40 minutes.
Hypoxic brain injury and stuff like
thinking, that. But and he was in a physical job, so he was absolutely fine at that. But she paused for a bit, went, he's a bit shit at Pictionary now. He's just a bit slow, he can't catch us. Like, okay. But he's out jogging now.
But he's here. He's here for his family and his kids.
Well, you should have seen I think I may have showed you the 12 lead ECG we did.
Is that the post-ROSC?
Yeah. Oh,
I think so.
It was
just massive
horrific
coronary.
one I've ever seen. But
yeah.
So he's walking this earth.
And you did that.
Yeah.
Well, you and several others, but you were first there to the fucking show.
4 of us did it.
Yeah.
4 in the team.
Amazing. Yeah. So that's your thing that.
Oh, absolutely.
Keeps you going, I guess. And that's what you did.
And all the rest are just funny stories. Although I did one with sorry, I keep going on, but there was one I did with Libis. She'll hate me for this, but
no. Each of my guests have been dumping someone else in it, and then I've been having that guest on.
To be fair, I think Libis is a fantastic paramedic, really good clinician, and she's just a shit magnet for really bad jobs. And she'd gone to this job at this cheap hotel that's got like 5 floors to it.
Okay.
And while she was seeing this bloke, whoever it was, who was absolutely fine, one of the cleaners came to her and went, there's somebody in the top floor and I don't think he's really well.
Okay.
And she went, oh, go and have a look.
Yeah.
This was just after the Cheltenham races.
Yeah.
And they were like cheap, shitty hotel rooms.
Yeah, it's just a single bed, somewhere to sleep. Yeah. Hot and cold running urinal, and this guy had fallen and basically bashed his head. Okay.
And was unconscious. and he was a big unit,
Yeah.
big old boy. So she was like, shit, this looks bad. Immediately recognised Big Sick.
Yeah.
Called P1 backup. We turn up, and the ECA she was with was, I think it was like her second or third shift ever, and she was back downstairs in
with
the
this fella
ambulance going, yeah, she's gone up there.
I don't know what's going on.
So
why are you outside?
and I was with ECA. She's now ECA Carla.
Oh yeah.
So we're like running up the stairs, going, what's going on here? And this is 5 floors. We're absolutely ball bag. Got the top, and I look and went, this isn't good.
Oh bother!
And the guy was lying on his bed, and we're getting nothing out of him, and you know, a bit of blood down the front, and he was very out of it. And I turned around to Carla and went, "Go get me stuff. I need, you know,
all the things and stuff, people.
Yeah, we need the drug, you know, big drugs bag. We need oxygen. We need, you know, all that." So she runs down the stairs again while we are sorting this guy out. And she comes back up again, and she's absolutely pouring with sweat. Yeah. And she went, "You've got the DCA keys." Sorry, Carla. She had to run all the way down and come up with this. Thank you very much. Yeah. And
you locked it, you bastard.
I can't remember what happened first, but we were sorting this guy. To be honest, when I say we were sorting it was so small. Libis was doing a fantastic job. She was getting lines in and all this sort of stuff. And the guy then, he lets out this weird, like, blood-curdling scream like through his teeth. Like, gritted teeth went, "Ah!" and went to corticate. And there was blood dripping out of his mouth as this guy's like, "Ah!" And I remember looking down, looked at Libis, and I was like, "Libis, that's bad." And she was like, "No fucking shit, it's bad, Mo." Like,
just like the most clean poker face is like, "That's bad. That's really bad."
we call up Hems, we need you here. We get the fire out, and they took one look at him and go, "How are we going to get that guy?" And they went, "How long we got?" And I went, "How long do you need?" And they went, "About half an hour if we can get a cherry picker."
The platform thing.
And I was like, "You got it, go."
Yeah.
So they got the crane in the top window, shuffled this guy out. Hems had turned up at this point, and they're like, "Yeah, he seems all right at the moment." Got them down, got them in the back of the ambulance.
And went, "No, he's not okay."
Well, he seemed, at least he was coming to a little bit with them. And I remember the Hems doc was typing away on, you know, doing his little bit on the EPCR. And I looked at him, "Doc, he's going to go again." He's like, "You what, mate?" "Oh, shit." And this guy's like,
"Oh, for fuck's sake."
You're like, "Oh,
I just finished my paperwork.
I'm going to have to go Southmead now." Yeah, so off we went. But
I can imagine Libis being like, "You and your fucking face." Like, "Oh, shit." As long as she's not punching you, you're alright.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
Fucking hell.
Oh, that was a good old one.
That's another sort of memorable part of your career, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
But funnily enough, I did watch some of John's podcast, and I echo his point about meeting the old war veterans.
Oh yeah,
because they're becoming few and far between these days. But
so World War II guys, they're 100 now.
Yeah,
you know,
the late 90s. The very youngest. But
so that's your memorable patients that really.
Yeah, but there was one, and I'll finish on this one because it was quite funny. It was this old boy he'd fallen over in the kitchen. He'd a knoff, so neck and femur fracture. But we walked in from the floor. It was this big booming voice, like, "Evening." It was like Brian Blessed. And
Hawkman, dive!
Like, and his daughter was there, and his wife was German, and this guy kept referring to her as the spoils of war. And, like, all right, and so
there's the spoils of war.
I kneel down, and I always call the older patients, sir, and I'm very polite to him, and I was like, "Right, sir, you hurt your hip," and he was like, "Yeah. Left leg, don't mind the right one. Old wound." Right. What do you mean old wound? And his daughter was like, "Oh, Dad was in Burma in the war. He was he was shot in the leg by the Japanese. Right. And this voice from the floor went, handsome Jap bastard bayoneted me in the arm. I'm like,
whoa.
Okay. And so we were sorting him out, and the ECA we were with was trying to have a bit of banter, and it just was not going down well.
Lead balloon.
And he was like, God, listening to you is worse than being shot. And he doubled down, and he was like, oh, you just remember who's picking you off the floor later.
Oh,
said,
no.
You just remember who won the Empire back for Britain.
Oh, fucking hell!
Boom! Yeah.
Just like, where's an extra microphone?
And,
Drop!
yeah, and we were just travelling into the hospital with this guy just shouting shit through the little hatch to the ECA going, they have ambulances with round wheels, why do you have to drive one with square ones, you idiot? Absolutely brilliant.
Fucking hell. ECA's like traumatised by the end of this job. Just like, I can't handle this anymore.
Just getting owned.
Yeah.
He did leave shortly after, funny enough.
Yeah, I can't take any more 90-year-olds that are fucking roasting me. I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Has to get one more kill. Like, it just has to get one more victim. It's like, I'm 90, right.
Absolutely brilliant.
Fucking hell. So I think you quite covered your career, and you've had quite an enjoyable, 30 years. If you were to, not start again, but to give someone advice, so we finished up with John as well, if anyone was to join the ambulance service or to follow the career path of what advice would you bestow upon them?
There are obviously two paths.
Don't do it.
Well, you either go to uni or you join as an ECA, work for a bit, see how you are, and go through it. I think both have got strengths and weaknesses. And I think it's good that we have that to keep that mix.
Yeah.
Because some of the jobs you go to are a bit more cerebral, and you need that depth of knowledge that university brings you. Other jobs, you need the common sense guys.
Yeah.
And we all know
the
them.
logistics.
The guys who are not the most academic, but their common sense is, head and shoulders above everyone else, and they just get on with it. What I would say is that this job is, first and foremost, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
We are being invited into people's homes.
Yeah. And trusted immediately.
Absolutely. And it could be the worst day or night of their life. Yeah. And they're looking for us to help. Yeah. And to have that responsibility, and the trust of the patients and their relatives, it's second to none. It is easily the best job I've done in terms of being proud of what I've done, and that includes all the stuff I've done in the army. Absolutely. Yeah. I would also say, don't take it to heart with the job. So don't take every job home with you. Yeah. It'll break you. It's that
healthy disconnect.
Yeah. I've heard some say we're paid to care for them, not about them. It's probably not quite as PC, but I look at it as a one-night stand. So at the time, they've got my focus, they've got my attention.
Give it all.
Absolutely everything for them.
Yeah.
But once I've dropped them off at the hospital, that's it. I've done my job.
Yeah. That's my bit.
And it's quite rare for me these days to go back and see how that patient's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, because you just don't want that attachment. And that.
I might go back to find out if I wasn't quite sure what was wrong with them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
For that learning.
Yeah.
Process, but.
Like a generic problem that was grey, and you were like, "Oh, I'm not really sure," and
and it's but that's to help my clinical knowledge.
Yeah.
But I would say that, and just have a bit of fun with it. Life's too serious, and even the darkest jobs we go to, there's always a glimmer of humour, no matter where. It's probably really dark.
And that's
a bit weird, and
that's my again, that's one of my main reasons for doing it, because we've all been there, done that, and I just want that connection with other people, like around, well, not just around the world, but like around the country, that, you know, like us as emergency services are connected in some way. And
yeah, it's a tribe.
yeah, yeah.
You know, we're all part of that. You know, you can, although we make fun of them and have a bit of banter, your police, your fire, your military, your vets, people in the ambulance, the NHS as a whole, with the doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
We've seen life at its rawest.
Yeah.
And seen those once in a lifetime events time and time again.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for that person, that's their worst day, and or that's a pinnacle, or like a point in their life which will change direction of something. But to us, it's just another shift.
And it should be. It's not our trauma. It's not our grief.
No.
We're just there watching it.
Yeah.
And that's very important for us to remember. That, I think.
Yeah. And it's a thing that you have to respect as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thing that you have to, Deep. This went.
I should fart now.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, just like, oh well, this has gone from comedy to oh fuck, no. Yeah, so I'd say that was a good bit of advice for a lot of student paras, or those who are wanting to go and do their para training. You know, it'd be cathartic, I think, of us to think of it in any other way. But yeah, it's been great having you on.
Yeah, it's been nice to have a chat.
Yeah,
very cathartic coming on to tell everyone my stories about my poo stories. And,
at least there wasn't a poo knife.
There'll be some carer going, I went to that bloody woman and I knew she didn't do that big shit. I knew it was somebody.
There'll just be comments under YouTube, just like fucking
Who's that unprofessional feral groundskeeper Willy twat?
So yeah, keep an eye for this being on. I don't know whether you were listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube.
I just point and get the links off of you.
Click. Yeah, that'll do. If anyone's out there again that wants to come on, I want a bit of variety. Doctors, nurses, police, fire. If you're out there and want to come on, I've got a bit of a guest list on the go at the moment. So I've got Mo today, and I've got a special guest tomorrow, Stacey.
Oh, that'd be absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, she's a bit of a loose cannon, in the best way possible. But yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed listening. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and we'll see you on the next one.